Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. It's the Daily Dave. Well, randomly Daily Dave? Maybe we should call it the Randomly Daily Dave. Hi, I'm Dave, and it's Randomly Dave's Daily Dave. A lot of Daves and a lot of dailies in that sentence. Anyways, hi. I want to share with you a resource that will help you as a podcaster, whether you've started your show or not. I want you to go check this out. This costs zero money, okay? You know, I love everything zero money for podcasters. That's why I have the website, podcastforfree.com. Yeah, so all those gurus who tell you that free is a terrible option, you can ignore them, okay? Because they're trying to sell you something. I have nothing to sell you. I have podcastforfree.com. And one of the free tools that I love to get, kind of like going to the doctor and getting a checkup. If you want to check up on podcasting, like how is podcasting doing? Then go to podmatch.com/report. Podmatch.com/report. Okay? Go there and go there often because you can check out what's happening in the podcast space with some of the best, most up-to-date information that I think is going to help you. So this is the end of October. Okay? So I'm on podmatch.com/report right now. And I'm giving you what the numbers I'm seeing right now. Okay, so this is going to change depending on whenever you press play on this episode. It could be like years from now. That's the beauty of podcasting. But you can always go here and check out the most recent information to do with podcasting in general, all of podcasting. Okay, because there's going to be people who are going to tell you things that aren't really true. And these are gurus that you should probably never listen to. So I'm hoping that you find value here on the show because I'm only going to give you things that are going to help you grow and encourage you as a podcaster. So it's called, on podmatch.com/report, it's called the Podcast Industry Report, specifically, not for Joe Rogans of the world, not for the Call Me Daddies, no, whatever. It's for independent podcasters, you and me. You know, team of one. You know, we're kind of doing it ourselves. This is for us. This report is perfect for any independent podcaster. This is relevant information, relevant metrics that excludes, there's a key word, people, excludes the celebrity podcasts, you know, the Smartless, the Joe Rogans, the Call Me Daddies, all those shows that are like done with a team of 60. You know what I'm talking about. That's not us, right? I'm looking around. I have a cat and a dog, and me. So I don't have a team of 60. I don't have a person who brings me a coffee and then another person who makes sure that it's not the wrong temperature. I don't have somebody who gets me a pen. No, I don't have those people. No, that's me, and it's you. So this is a great way to check out on the health and where we're at with podcasting. Okay, so this is one thing I love. There's so much information here, and what I love too is it gives you kind of like an overview. So as of October 24, this is what I'm seeing. The overall buzz in the industry is high. So that means podcasts are trending 82% on search engines. Okay. Listenership health is high right now. 504.9 million podcast listeners estimated for 2024. That's a good number, right? Podcasters' health is low in October 24. Extremely high failure rate with limited clear success plans. Wow. And podcasting opportunity, what does it rate? Very high. There has never been a better time to start a podcast. So that's the first thing you see on the screen. Did you love that? That's great. What else do you see? Okay, so as of October 24, there's almost 3 million podcasts. You're like, oh my gosh, 3 million? Right, okay. Wait a minute. There's 375,607 active podcasts. Only 375,000 out of 3 million are active. Hello? Doesn't that... Wait a minute. You're not competing against 3 million podcasts. And you're not competing against 375,000 podcasts. you're competing against the number of podcasts in the area of what you talk about. So you're an author podcast, you're only competing with the other author podcasts for listenership. If you're a podcast about podcasting, you're only competing against that smaller group, subset. So this is a great time to start a podcast. If anybody told you that it's oversaturated and there's too many, 3 million podcasts, that's a big number. But only 375,000 of those 3 million podcasts are actually active people. Start a podcast. We need it. There's more interest in podcasting than there are podcasters that are actively doing their show. So here we go. What about this? In 2024, independent interview-based podcasting totals. Most interview-based podcasters fail to achieve the goal for their show due to quitting prematurely or inconsistent episode releases. Out of this number, 524,330 total independent interview-based podcasts, there are only 117,792 active. Okay, so that's interesting. Again, the numbers are smaller than what you're anticipating. So this I love too. For October 24, and you can also drop down the menu and pick other months just kind of get an idea what's going on, but the chances of success and failure as a podcaster. With 8 episodes, the chance of reaching this milestone is 47.98%. We'll reach 8 episodes. On average, it takes 2 years and 100 episodes released before podcasters see any results. And unfortunately, 93.88% quit before reaching this point. So I think it's a tiny amount will get over to 100 episodes. Those who reach 50 episodes is about 11%. Those who reach 100 episodes, 6%. Those who reach 200 episodes, 2%. Those who reach 300 episodes, 3.4%. Wow. So right now, the likelihood of failure in starting a podcast is 93.88%, and only 6.12% of podcasters succeed. I have worked with podcasters who have an amazing idea. They show up with excitement. They put their heart and soul into it, and they quit 3 episodes in. Some of them don't even get to the point where they get their intro recorded. And it's so frustrating because these people have such a great story. They could help so many people, but they give up. Something tells them no. I want to be the something that tells you yes. For those of us with interview-based shows, I know there's actually gurus who tell you not to do an interview-based podcast because you should be the star of your own show. Now, I understand that we want to set ourselves up and we want to turn this maybe into a business. That's fine. But I want you to see this number. Again, you can see this whenever you go to podmatch.com/report. Go to the bottom and it says podcast guesting health. So there are 4,179,505 guests that want to be on a podcast. And there are only 100,595 potential podcasts looking for guests. There are way more guests than there are podcasts. So when you hear a guru say that it's a waste of time to have a guest-based, interview-based podcast, they're not giving you the full picture. There are more guests potential than there are podcasts. So if you're thinking about what kind of show should I start, maybe start an interview-based podcast. It's less stress and effort on you, and it's ripe for guests. Using PodMatch is going to help you find the right guest. Definitely sign up as a show on PodMatch, and they'll start feeding you great recommendations you can match or pass, just like a dating app, anytime you want. How about your podcast compared to the industry averages? Okay, here we go. You ready? To be in the top 50% of podcasts. The top 50. All right? I'm not talking about listen notes here. That's a totally different thing. Please. Ugh. The top 50% of podcasts have 28 downloads in the first 7 days for one episode. Okay, you're going to hear people talk about monthly downloads, yearly downloads. That's the entire package of podcast episodes. I'm talking about one episode. In 7 days, if you have 28 downloads, you are in the top 50% of podcasts. Now, you're going to see as I go through this list how it's going to be very different than listen notes. If you want to be in the top 25% of podcasts, if you have 108 downloads in the first 7 days of a given episode, now you're in the top 25. If you have 459 downloads in the first 7 days for a single episode, you're in the top 10%. If you have 1,070 downloads in the first 7 days for a single episode, not multiple, single episode, first 7 days, you're in the top 5%. And if you have 4,643 downloads in the first 7 days for a single episode, you're in the top 1%. How is this different from Listen Notes? Is because Listen Notes captures the entirety of podcasting, that 4 million, 5 million, that huge big number. And a lot of those are dead shows that aren't producing. So when you hear a top 1% on Listen Notes, it's not the same as a top 1% here featured on podmatch.com/report, funded and featured by Buzzsprout. Because I can pretty well guarantee you those 1% episode podcasts on Listen Notes are not getting 4,643 downloads in 7 days. They're not. So if you want to be in the top 1% of podcasts, you want to be getting 4,643 downloads in 7 days for one episode. Then you can claim to be a top 1%. So all those people are telling you that you can be a 1% podcast, they're giving you a bunch of junk, people. If you're in that 5, 10, 20 downloads per episode, then I would tell you to shoot for the 28. 28 listeners for a single episode in 7 days. And you are now in the top 50%. 50% of all podcasts by getting 28 downloads for a single episode in 7 days. That's doable. That's doable. Even with 1 or 2 listens right now. That's a great goal to shoot for. So don't get discouraged. Don't get down on yourself. You're thinking, man, I wish I was the best of the best. And don't fall for bad numbers. And don't get discouraged when people start rubbing it in your face that, oh, I'm a top 1% of all podcasts. Really? Really? You have over 4,000 downloads in 7 days for a single episode? I doubt it. I doubt it. My focus for you as a new podcaster, ignore your downloads completely. Focus on the people that listen to your show and pour into them. Pour into the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, the 10 that listen to your show. Give them your heart and your soul. Give them your time. Build them up. Make them your foundation. Spend time with them. Get their voice, get their response, get their emails, set up a Zoom call, talk to them, call them out, feature them on your show, and build your community right now with a tiny little audience, one listener at a time. That's how you grow your show. And if for any reason at any time you want to get a health check on podcasting, go to podmatch.com/report. and go look at what's happening in podcasting. Get the most up-to-date information to help you as a podcaster to know where you sit in podcasting. And ignore the gurus who tell you to do things that are going to hurt your show, like not doing an interview-based podcast. I do Living the Next Chapter. It's totally 100% interview-based podcast. And I'm doing a great time with it. I'm having a great podcast. And if I reach one listener and one listener buys a book from an author on my show, I've done my job. So ignore those gurus who tell you that garbage about not having guests on your show because it's going to detract from your podcast. That's just junk. It's junk. Do the podcast that you want to do. Don't bother about all these other voices that tell you to do something else. Whatever you're passionate about, do it. You want to be an interview-based podcast? Do it. If you don't do it. Do whatever you want. And don't let these people steer you in the wrong direction. They're going to steer you right into the wall Think of those NASCAR races where they're going around the track, they're going left for a long time, and then all of a sudden a car just goes right into the wall. That's bad advice from a guru. It's going to send you right into the wall. Focus on people that are going to build you up, like podmatch.com/report. It's going to build you up. You're not as bad as it seems. You're doing great. 28 listens in 7 days for a single episode. You can do this. I know you can. The reports are out there. The information's there. Numbers don't lie. People lie. Avoid the people that pull you down and go to the people that build you up. This show was designed to build you up, not tear you down. Don't go to shows where podcasters make fun of you and make an example of your podcast by doing a whole episode where they mock you as a podcaster and say you're doing it wrong and you should stop. That's American Idol. That's tearing people down when they're trying to live their dream. Go to The Voice, where they build you up as a coach. They're there in your corner, and even if you're not ready, they never make fun of you. They never do an episode about you to mock you. And then we celebrate these people like they're a big deal. We give them awards and give them on stage and give them notoriety and worship at their feet of being the guru in podcasting, but they tear you down? Who are these people? Why are we worshiping them? You can do this. You don't need those big names, those big podcasters to give you the seal of approval. You can do this. PodMatch.com/report. Go there often, review it, maybe every month, the end of the month, the beginning of the month. Go and see where we're at. Go back in time and look at the results. It's designed to help you. Alex Sanfilippo and his team are putting this out for free. It doesn't cost you anything. And as you see these great tools that they put out on PodMatch for free, maybe that'll kind of pull you towards saying, you know what, all this great stuff for free, I'm thinking I'm going to sign up for PodMatch. I did. Not just because of the reports, but because of Alex and his team. It's not meant to be a giant commercial for PodMatch, but I do love them. And I really do enjoy them. They do send great people to this podcast. The tools are there. If you need help on any of this, if you're like, Dave, can we go over my numbers? I don't understand how this works. Let's look at your retention rate. Let's look at how long people listen to your episode. Let's look at where people are listening. Let's look at what they're listening on. Let's look at the demographics, the breakdown of who's listening to your show. And then what can we do with this information to help our show grow? howtopodcast.ca, calendar links right there, SpeakPipes right there, my email, everything that you need to get in touch with me, it's right there. I would love to talk to you anytime. howtopodcast.ca and podmatch.com/report. It's totally free. Go there right now and look at the same report I'm looking at. No matter what month, what year, go there and look at the report. I'd love to hear your thoughts. howtopodcast.ca. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to The Daily Dave. November's coming. We're like days away from 30 episodes in 30 days. National Podcast Post Month. Are you joining us as a podcaster? Are you joining as a listener? I hope you are. And if you're not doing it this year, start planning now for 2025 that you're going to participate in Podcast Post Month. NaPodPoMo, National Podcast Post Month. Start working on it now for next year. Participate. 30 episodes in 30 days. I'm excited for this for you. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. The Daily Dave on the How to Podcast series. Be back with more. Get ready. There's a lot of podcasts coming your way in November. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to hear where your show goes. Keep podcasting, keep being you, because we need more of you in this world. There's a big gap in this world, and only you can fill it. Howtopodcast.ca. Thanks for listening. Take care.